Picture it. You wake up, you check your phone. The headline reads, "Dinosaurs are back, not fossils, not movie props, living, breathing animals, standing in a containment facility somewhere in Montana." Your first instinct is excitement. But the real answer to what happens next is far stranger and far more dangerous than anything you saw in a theater. Start with the basic problem. Bringing back a dinosaur is not like flipping a switch. DNA breaks down over time. It doesn't survive 66 million years intact. Paleontologist Jack Horner spent decades searching for shortcuts around this problem, hoping to reverse engineer dinosaur traits from their closest living relatives instead. Why relatives? Because dinosaurs never actually went extinct. Birds are dinosaurs. Every sparrow on your windowsill carries that lineage forward. So the real science of de-extinction doesn't start with cloning. It starts with something closer to genetic archaeology. Now add the twist. In the 1990s, scientist Mary Schweitzer found something impossible inside a Tyrannosaurus rex thigh bone. Soft tissue, blood vessels. Structures that shouldn't have survived intact for 68 million years, yet somehow had. Her discovery reignited the fantasy that a dinosaur could be rebuilt from the inside out. But soft tissue is not usable DNA. It's a preserved shadow, not a blueprint. Even the amber-trapped mosquito idea, once seriously floated by scientist George Poinar, has since been tested and found wanting. Ancient DNA degrades far faster than fiction allows. So if dinosaurs really were reborn tomorrow, it wouldn't be through some old fossil unlocking its secrets overnight. It would be something built, not found. Here's where it gets stranger. Let's say scientists somehow succeed. A living, breathing dinosaur opens its eyes for the first time in tens of millions of years. What does the modern world actually look like to that animal? Not what you'd expect. Oxygen levels were different in the Mesozoic. Some researchers estimate the atmosphere ran higher in oxygen content during parts of that era, which may have supported the sheer scale of these creatures. Today's air is thinner by comparison. A revived dinosaur might struggle to breathe the same atmosphere its ancestors thrived in. Its lungs, if reconstructed faithfully, would be built for a planet that no longer exists. Then there's food. A Tyrannosaurus rex needed enormous quantities of meat to sustain its body mass. Modern ecosystems don't have herds of triceratops wandering around to fill that gap. Paleontologist Steve Brusada has spent his career studying just how tightly dinosaurs were woven into their specific Mesozoic food webs. Pull one thread out of that web and drop it into a cattle ranch, and you don't get a functioning ecosystem. You get a starving animal in an unfamiliar world, or worse, a predator with no natural check on its behavior at all. Ask yourself this: what happens when something ancient meets something modern with no bridge between them? You've actually seen this story before, just with smaller animals. Biologist Beth Shapiro, who studies ancient DNA and has written extensively on the real science of de-extinction, points to a simple, sobering truth. Every attempt to revive a lost species runs into the same wall. It's not the genetics that's the hardest part. It's the habitat. Bring back a woolly mammoth and you still need Arctic tundra healthy enough to support it. Bring back a dinosaur and you need an entire Mesozoic world that simply isn't there anymore. The revival isn't the finish line. It's the starting gun for a much harder problem. Now think about scale. A single Argentinosaurus, one of the largest land animals to ever exist, could weigh as much as 15 African elephants combined. Its bones alone would crack modern zoo infrastructure built for creatures a fraction of that size. Enclosures, veterinary equipment, food supply chains, all of it engineered for today's largest land mammals, would be instantly obsolete. You wouldn't need one new industry to support a revived dinosaur population. You'd need dozens, built almost overnight, with almost no room for error. And then there's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Not every dinosaur was a gentle giant. Velociraptors, contrary to their movie portrayal, were roughly the size of a large turkey, but they were fast, sharp-clawed, and likely intelligent pack hunters. Put a pack of them in an unfamiliar, oxygen-thin, prey-scarce modern environment, and their first instinct wouldn't be curiosity. It would be survival. Desperate animals in unfamiliar terrain don't behave predictably. They behave dangerously. Here's the quieter question underneath all of this. Why does this fantasy grip you so hard in the first place? Psychologists who study nostalgia and fascination with deep time suggest it isn't really about the animals at all. It's about scale. Dinosaurs represent something larger than a single human lifetime, larger than recorded history itself. Standing in their shadow, even imagined, makes your own existence feel connected to something ancient and enormous. That's not a childish impulse. That's a very human one. Consider what this fantasy is quietly asking. It's asking whether you could stand face to face with deep time and survive the encounter. Whether the past, if it truly returned, would recognize the present at all. Because here's the uncomfortable mirror this whole scenario holds up. Humans are already running a smaller, quieter version of this experiment every single day. Invasive species research shows what happens when any organism, ancient or modern, gets dropped into an ecosystem it didn't evolve alongside. Pythons in the Everglades, cane toads in Australia, zebra mussels in the Great Lakes. None of these are dinosaurs. All of them prove the same point. An organism doesn't need scales the size of dinner plates to destabilize an entire environment. It just needs to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, with no natural predator to keep it in check. So if dinosaurs really were reborn tomorrow, the danger wouldn't come from their teeth or their claws. It would come from the gap between their world and yours. A gap made of oxygen levels, food webs, climate, and time itself. Science fiction sells you the terror of the chase. Real science quietly points somewhere else. The terror of mismatch, of something ancient trying to survive inside a world that has moved on entirely without it, which brings you back to that first moment. You wake up, you check your phone, the headline reads, "Dinosaurs are back." And now you understand the real answer isn't excitement, it's recognition. Because in a smaller, stranger way, you already know exactly what it feels like to carry something ancient inside a world that has changed completely around you.